Welcome to the Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sarah Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And this week on the show we have
Bart Baker.
Yes, we do. It is so fun. It is such a good interview.
Mm-hmm. He has a really interesting story. He's one of those 20-year overnight success people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell him a little bit about the interview because he knows much better than I do.
Yeah. So Bart is in the clubhouse room with me. You know, we've gotten some of our best guests, I feel like, from that room. Mm-hmm. And he is a screenwriter now, primarily. But he is still writing novels. But he wrote a novel 20 years ago, Honeymoon with Harry, that he sold the options to a long time ago, and twice he's thought it was going to get made into a movie. It didn't happen. I think it's twice. Anyway, it was in Variety. Kevin Costner and Jake Gyllenhaal are going to be in it. But we just talk a lot about just the industry of writing in general, writing novels and then writing screenplays and all of that good stuff. It's very interesting and a lot of stuff I didn't know. So it was really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked a little bit about craft, about writing, and about technical things, about legal advice, like when to get legal advice if you have an inquiry or you think your script, you think your novel is going to be sold, and just interesting things like that we don't get to talk about that much. And it was a fun interview to just talk with him and enjoy the success of achieving something that's been a long, long time coming.
Right. And I mean, that's not the only thing he's sold. I mean, he's done 2 movies just in the last 2 years, I think, with Taye Diggs. One just came out. So yeah, Bart he's in the biz, as they say. So yeah,
he's got lots of irons in the fire, I guess. So what have you been doing this week?
I was on a road trip with my parents, and I think I told y'all we survived. It was a 3-day road trip. 2 of the days we drove 8 hours, and the other we drove 6 hours. The first day we drove to the Grand Canyon, and then we got in the car and drove to the next town and stayed there. But my mother, she's so funny. This is the thing about my mother, and if she heard this, she'd probably kill me, but it's the truth, and she knows it's the truth. She is the most compliant person you will ever meet on the outside. She is standing up on the inside the entire time. So that's part of her personality. The second part of her personality is when she's done with something, she's done. Like, I cannot tell you the number of places we've been and we're all still kind of in the middle of whatever we're doing, and we look and she's headed to the car. Like, she's just done. Well, that's kind of how it was with the Grand Canyon. We had gotten to the Grand Canyon, and I made a video about it, but halfway to the Grand Canyon, we stopped, and I bent down to flick a piece of lint off my pants, and my back froze up. I could not hardly stand up, but I could sit, so that was fine, and I was driving. My dad always has a bad back. I mean, bless his heart, he's all bent over, and my mom's hips have been really hurting her lately. So we get to the Grand Canyon, and I stand up and take one step, and I almost fall. My back is so frozen up. So we are just like limping along to the 100 yards it took to get to the rail of the Grand Canyon. And my mom at one point sat down and said, "Just take a picture." I'm like, "Get up, you're going with us." So we all limp over there, and literally, she goes to the edge, she looks around, she goes, "Okay, let's go. I'm hungry." And I had to make them take pictures. It was ridiculous. So anyway, it was fun. We had a good time. I have listened to more oldies country music.
Oh my goodness, I bet
I
you
like
have.
country music and at full volume, can hear. And it was an adventure, but
it was an experience, right?
And I will never get that again, probably. Yeah. And I'm very grateful for it. But yeah, that's all I've done.
That's such the behind the scenes thing, because if you just look at your pictures of the Grand Canyon, it probably looks like y'all are there. You had a fantastic time.
We look great. Great.
But it's like, no, we're taking these pictures. I've been there many times. We were taking these pictures.
But yeah, it was fun. We had a really good time, and I ate some questionable convenience store food, but that's part of the adventure. I mean, if you're not partaking in something the health department may or may not have overlooked, then why are you even on a road trip? Is kind of what
A
I think.
full experience,
It
that's
was
right.
worth it too.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got to do it.
What's been going on?
Well, so I got back a couple days before earlier than you did because you just got back,
Yeah, I
and
just got back
I've
last night.
been, like, catching up. You know, when you come home from a conference, there's all the things that you didn't do while you were gone, plus you were at the conference, so now you have all these contacts and ideas and things to do, so basically just catching up and
Yeah.
doing really basic things like laundry and things like that, so not very exciting stuff for me. I did email my list today, caught them up, sent them some photos from the tea that we went to,
Oh, yes,
so they'll
we had
enjoy that.
hot tea, that was so
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, so just kind of basic stuff, catching up, and I have an event coming up this weekend. By the time this goes out, it will already be over, but I have a book event in a bookstore in LaPorte, Texas, so that will be fun, and I am bringing extra books for that just in case, and they arrived. I was a little worried, but they're here, so that's good.
Yeah.
And that is it. Nothing super exciting or informative. Yeah, that's, like, all we got this
That's all
week,
we
I
got.
think.
Yeah, I went from high tea at the Waldorf Astoria to convenience store burrito and a Pop-Tart.
That's America for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, we should
Oh,
go with the interview because it is
yes.
awesome, and you guys are gonna really love hearing from Bart. I
Yeah.
know you will.
Yeah, so here we go. Well, today we're really excited to talk to Bart Baker. Hi, Bart. How are you?
I'm well. How about you?
We are great, and we are so happy you're here. We're excited.
I'm happy to be here. This is fun. This is fun because I know you, Jamie,
Yeah.
because we
Clubhouse.
talk,
Yeah.
we sit
Clubhouse.
together in the mornings. And Sarah, it's a pleasure.
So it's great too. And y'all are convincing me I need to make time for Clubhouse.
It's not too early for you if you're in the Midwest, if you're in the middle of the country.
Texas with me, yeah.
I know. I should do it. I should do it. I'll try and pop in there. Let me read your bio and then we'll get right into the question.
Okay.
Bart Baker is a screenwriter, author, and playwright. He's had 8 plays produced, including Relay, selling the movie rights to Warner Brothers, as well as 20 films, TV movies, and series episodes produced. Bart has written 10 novels, including Honeymoon with Harry, which is being turned into a movie starring Kevin Costner and Jake Gyllenhaal for Amazon MGM in 2026, and a whole bunch more, but we'll just start with that.
Oh, those guys, just them. That's all they
I
could do for
know.
that? Dang it.
Yeah,
Well, tell us
that
how you got into writing.
my friends tell me that I was writing as a kid, and I just don't remember it. I don't really remember doing that, but I believe them. But it was about sophomore year of college when I said I wanted to go to Los Angeles. I wanted to be an actor and a writer and a screenwriter, and the acting took off first. And I ended up on a soap as an actor, a very small role, but I lasted about 8 months, and I just hated it.
Which soap?
It
Can
was
you tell us?
General Hospital.
Oh my gosh.
So I was on in the Frisco and Felicia days.
Oh, yeah.
So many years ago, and I just didn't enjoy it. And luckily, I a couple months later, through this event, I met a couple people, and there were some actors looking for a play, and I had been writing, and they picked a play of mine. There were some soap names, there were some nighttime TV names in there, which means it got an audience, and that was Relay. And so the play went up. It was a big success, and Warner Brothers bought the rights, and that started me into screenwriting. And then I guess and I've been very lucky. I had a lot produced. I had just come off a feature that had gotten made, and I worked with these people, and they were just horrible souls, horrible human beings. And I'm going to say I was 40 or 45. I can't remember. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't work for horrible people. And so I sat down. I had pitched Honeymoon with Harry, which was my first novel, as a movie, and got nobody seemed to care. And I thought, screw this. I'm going to write this. I'm going to write a novel. And in the process, my agent drops me because of through this. And I sat down, I literally just sat down for 3 months and wrote. And I'm a very disciplined guy about this stuff. I treat this, I treat it pretty seriously, and I do it every day. I'm one of those people that actually likes to write. I wrote this, and in that 3 months, I met these managers, so I got new reps, and it was right around the holiday. And they were like, what do you got? You got a new screenplay. What do you got for us? I said, well, I wrote a book.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, what? And I was like, I wrote a book. And the guy goes, can I read it? So I gave it to him. And then right after the holidays are over, like 10 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings and it's him. And he goes, dude, I cried. I cried a lot.
Love
And
it.
I was like, oh. And I only had one other person read the book, which was my sister-in-law. And she calls me one day and she goes, I take this book to work. I take this book home with me. She goes, I have cried for 3 days. I've cried for 3 days. And I'm like, I thought it was kind of funny, don't you find some of it funny? Because I know, Jamie, you're writing women's fiction now where, it's funny, what you called this morning, funny sad.
Yeah,
And
funny sad.
That's what Harry is. And long story short, it was just a stack of paper. Within 2 weeks, my managers had sold this originally to New Line in a bidding situation, like $750,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big sale. And that kind of opened me into the book world. So I've kind of bounced back and forth. I've written now 10 or 11 novels, and I keep, I've been very blessed to keep working in the film business. And I got my next movie's on November 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Lifetime bought it. It's Taye Diggs and Leslie Ann Brandt, called His, Hers, and Ours. I did one with Taye last year.
I was about to say, that's the second one you've done with Taye Diggs, isn't it?
And we're trying to do a third. We're going to see if we can get a third. But the first one did really well. It was he and Megan Good. And I got like a Writers Guild nomination out of it. It did critically. It did really, really well. Those guys did a beautiful job with that script. And it was really funny because that was going to be my next book. Periodically I'll pull out scripts and go, this would make a good book. Scripts that haven't been made. And I was going to turn that in, and I had written that 15 years ago originally. That's kind of, how I got into all this mess, and I somehow been blessed to keep working at it.
Yeah.
Well, that's so interesting. And I'm sure we both have so many questions about screenwriting and books and adaptations and stuff like that. So I think we'll come back to that in a little bit. But first, what is your definition of success? We like to ask everybody that.
Mine, it's very simple. It's happiness. It's really true. I mean, I look at people who are happy and I realize they're successful.
Yeah.
I don't care what they're doing or how that happens, because I think oftentimes in our lives, happiness is elusive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have defined my personal happiness by, and that encompasses a lot. It encompasses my kids being taken care of, my kid being well, my relationships being well. But I've realized that it's all really pretty simple, and it's yet really hard.
Yeah.
And that's happiness.
Yeah. That's great. And I think that shows with the fact that you walked away from acting because you hate it. I mean, like, it didn't make you happy. And a lot of people are like, even if it doesn't make me happy, this is what I've decided I want to do, and I'm going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, hanging on to things that you thought you wanted to do, but they just don't bring you joy. So you have to pivot and then do something else. But a lot of people won't do that.
No, you get in too deep. And, I am one of those people, as I said earlier, I'm one of those people who really loves to write. I love the whole process of it. I love the aloneness of it. I love the stuff in my head. But I know a lot of writers who don't like to write, more screenwriters than novelists, who don't like to write. They like having written.
Yeah.
But unless you enjoy this process, it's hard.
Yeah.
And this is where I go, kind of, frankly, to escape the rest of the world.
The worst. I know. I love that. I admire people like you because I like having written, but that empty room is super hard for me. Just me in a room and a keyboard, very hard. And I know that for a lot of people, it's not. In fact, that's their happy place. So it's just a difference.
That's right too, sir.
Yeah, exactly. What do you wish you'd known about writing and craft when you started?
I'm going to go for the books first, but it would probably apply to screenplays as well. But I wish I knew format better. when I just, when you just, I'm a pantser anyway. And just when you're going to sit down and write a book and I know nothing about the process other than in my head, how it works for me as in the other aspects of my life. I wish I would have known that. And I wish I would have known the business far better than when I started. Because Harry started as basically a stack of paper, and then all of a sudden, I have this movie deal, and then I've got agents and all these people coming at me, publishers, and I literally didn't publish that book for 10 years because of it.
Yeah.
I just sat on it. I was like, I didn't understand what all this was. I don't think I'm great at sniffing out people who are fair weather friends, but I could tell these people were.
Yeah.
Pretty much, that they were interested in the moment. And I didn't, I'm not saying I have to know everything, or I have to be in charge of everything, but I like feeling comfortable in any situation. And I didn't with that. I literally just sat on the book for 10 years. We had moved in that time and all of that. And then I decided I'm going to put this book out. And I was very blessed that the book itself, I didn't market it well because I'm an indie writer and I prefer to, because of my other business, I can't put books out on a schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can't be one of those guys that said, there's a book coming out next year, or I'm going to put out 3 this year. I have no idea. And so, I put them out when I can. And I was pretty lucky to, put this book out. It did, modestly well for an indie book. And, I'm sure now with all of this stuff, just from the little blur, little bit that came out and watching the sales just skyrocket again, I'm trying to figure out my next moves when this movie comes out, because I'll be really frank about it. There could be a lot of money for me involved in this from a book sale. And I am not good at this stuff. I am not the good marketer. Still not cracked this. But I was lucky with that one because it had gotten bought. I had something to at least advertise off of. Now, rather than it's so hard to just come out with a book and say, hey, I wrote again.
Yeah, I think that's so smart. If anybody is ever in that situation where you have some amazing thing happen, it's wise to take a step back if you don't feel comfortable. And there is no rush to publish. You're right. And I think we do that in indie world a lot. We publish quickly, and really there's no need to do that. And it's better to go a little bit slower sometimes, maybe. So I think that's very smart.
Like I said, for me, for lack of a better way of putting it, I was a little scared. It just was an unknown thing. And, you're meeting a bunch of different agents and things at that time. And there was a young guy that I really kind of, gelled with, and everybody kept saying, no, go with the bigger people, go with the bigger people. And I've been through that in the movie business. And, it's like, how many times do I got to get hit in the head? They're going to be there for the moment, and then they're moving on.
Right. It's, what have you done for me lately? Nothing.
Absolutely right.
Nice to know you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, I know what I was going to say. The good news is, a lot of people that are really good at marketing. I'm happy to help.
I appreciate that
because that is the one thing I think I'm good at. And I proved that with my own books. I've proved it with other books. And so happy to help. So
thank you. I appreciate it. Because like I said, I still to this day, I try things that and I will say that's the one thing about our morning rooms. I've learned an enormous amount, or I know less than nothing.
Yeah.
So that's the point we all are at, right? There's always more to learn.
It's changed so fast that you do feel like, oh God.
Oh my, and it is crazy. And because especially with Harry now, being an indie author and having gone through Amazon and all that, I try to make my life as simple as possible in those respects. Now I can get it into libraries because they're now doing this whole other thing. And I was thinking of taking it down and, going through drafted digital and all of this other stuff just so I could get it into libraries or maybe get it into bookstores, because that bookstores are not, they're less than willing to put an Amazon book in their stores. So, and I understand the business aspects of that. I'm still trying to figure all this out. And in the subsequent 10 years since I've put that book out, I've written 2 sequels because the story, which is a funny story. I did a lot of book signings, which I love. I love book signings.
Yeah.
I think they're the most fun, and people come and it becomes sort of a party, and I love that kind of stuff. And in Harry, there's a little boy that the lead character interacts with. He interacts with his mother, who's a bartender, and we find out at the end of the book that these two knew each other many years ago. They slept together when she was a bartender in Iowa, and he was there for a convention. She says, "I remember you," and she gives some backstory to him. It's a nice moment, and everybody kept coming up, going, "That's his kid, isn't it?" When I was at these book signings, and I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" And about the 20th time you hear it, you're like, "Why, yes, it is. You're so smart."
Yeah. Exactly. So you've written these subsequent books. Yeah. So you have more to offer.
It gave me an avenue into a second book. And by the end of that one, I knew what the third book was. And so I wrote the other two books pretty close together. And, and now I'm really glad I have them, because if this movie's any success, I'm sure they will at least talk to me about him.
Yeah. That's wonderful.
If the movie's a success, the sales of book one will skyrocket, and then that gives readers, to take it to a reader's side, it gives readers a place to go.
Absolutely.
More to the story. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've had people, it was interesting. I got an email the other day from somebody saying, I've read your two books, your two Harry books, and was talking about the books, and I've lent them to my friends because blah, blah, blah. And I said, I just wrote them back. I said, there's a third. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
It's amazing what people miss. I've had people email me and they're like, I am waiting for the new book in this series. I'm like, oh, well, it's out. Here you go.
Yes, you need to check your back matter. Just to make sure your back matter is leading them to those.
Yeah, but some readers, they don't go there. They just stop and they're done. So it never hurts to tell people. It does not hurt. Don't assume. I've learned that the hard way. Yeah. Well, what are you glad you know now?
I'm glad I know structure a little bit better for novels.
Yeah.
Because if you read Harry, if you know anything about screenplays, most screenplays are written in 3 acts. Not that things don't go up and down before then, but there's written in three big acts. And Harry is certainly written in 3 big acts. And so I know structure a little bit better, and I'm able to discern better what is a book, what is a play, and what is a movie, and where it should at least go first. Because I've had ideas where I'm like, this would make a great movie, or this would make a better book. And I'm comfortable enough to go, I'm going to take the time to write that as a novel.
So how do you figure that out? Because most of us are just writers of novels. And so some of us have an idea we would like to turn something into some other format, but how do you figure out which is best?
It's the filmicness of an idea that makes me go, oh, that would make a better movie.
Okay.
Not that it wouldn't make a book, but it would probably make a better movie. And also just how I see the story in my head. Again, I'm a pantser. So I to me, it's like a big movie running in my head anyway.
Yeah.
And I know, and some stories are more intimate or more, I need to get in. It's easier if I can get into the heads of the characters.
Yeah.
Which, in movies, you have to externalize every internal thought. It has to come out in an action, or people don't know what it is, or it comes out in a voiceover or whatever. The joy of a book is I can go into the characters and I can sit with them for a bit and let them be who they are, rather than trying to find a way to make them who they are. And so I love that ability to go into people's heads and let people. I think books are better at humanity, if that's for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Yeah.
Well, what do you still need to figure out?
As I said, I am no ace at marketing. Also, because I write, I don't stick to a genre. And I know, Jamie, I heard you this morning. We were, you're going into a new, and it's unnerving, because I'll finish a book, and I'm blessed because my money comes more from the film business. So the books are mine. And so I can write what I want. I don't stick in a genre. I think you can tell a Bart Baker book, but it's not genre. It's not by genre.
Yeah.
And so I've got to learn. I get how they advertise romance. I get who their audience is, and I get why the email list is important, and I get those pieces. I think for how I do this, especially because I'm not writing consistently, it comes in spurts, that the email list is much harder. I'm very good at using Facebook, and I'm very good at using and taking out ads, but the ads on Facebook and the AMS ads don't seem to pop for me at all. And I cannot, part of me is because I blame myself because I just don't know it. I just don't know it well enough to target it and what the keywords will do and all that stuff that we as indie writers worry about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the best advice I ever got, and it was back, and I think I said this morning, but back like right after my second book came out, I think. So within that first year of writing, was that I needed to brand myself. And that has helped me. And I think it will help me when I change, in changing this genre for this book. But it's also hard because people do kind of begin to expect certain things from you. And if you don't deliver on those things, then you've let them down. And then that's hard. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's tricky. It's tricky if you don't write in the same genre.
I can't imagine you, from what I know of you, not writing in your voice.
No, everything is in my voice. Yeah, that is true. I wouldn't even know how to write anything else. I mean,
I get it.
Jamie couldn't have a secret pen name.
No.
She'd have a pen name, but not a secret pen name. Everybody would know.
Somebody go, "Hey, Jamie, AI just copied your book."
Yeah. And I'd go, "Yeah, right. Yeah, good luck." Good luck. No, dude.
Well, what's the most unhelpful advice you've gotten?
Looked at trends.
Yeah.
Looked at trends in any avenue of writing. By the time you finish something, they've moved. That's back road. That and you're always behind. And when you're running the trends, you're always behind.
Right.
And you hear these things. This is selling good this now, and nobody's buying. This morning nobody's buying, or now they're back into mysteries, but only these kind of mysteries, or romantic suspense is big, but not with military. I'm like, oh my God, that messes with your head. It just messes with your head, because sooner or later they're going to say something about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel your heart palpitate and think, oh my God, I'm just watching my career explode.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that's the advantage of not being on the rapid release treadmill. Like, if those of us who write slowly, we can't even worry about that, because we write so slow that who knows what the matter will be by the time we finish. Like,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And I just can't worry about that, because this comes down to voice for me. I don't care what it is, book, movie, whatever it is. If they're going to hire Bart Baker, they're hiring Bart Baker because of Bart Baker's voice. If they want Jamie Albright's voice or Sarah's voice, hire Sarah, for God's sake. Don't hire Bart to try to do that. If you know she does it well, hire her.
Yeah.
And so I don't get, I can only be me. And that's something I've learned too. I can only be the best me. I'm trying to be the best me. And I got to let the chips fall where they may, because I think, when you're younger, I think you do fall into that trap much easier of, this is hot now, or that's hot now, or, you should be doing this or that. And you spend half your time running around trying to how to do that when you could just be yourself. And the thing, I've been doing this a long time. I will say this, you will come around again. If it's not you right now, you will come around again.
Well, if you were starting over, what would you do differently?
I would have gotten into novels much earlier. And, maybe I'm blessed that I didn't get into them until I had places fairly, where I had places to go, because I've written I've written a lot. And I was able to, when I got onto Clubhouse, start figuring stuff out, because I could listen to experts talk. I had at least I didn't know. I don't know when in real life. I know one other novelist, other than my Facebook people. Who I went on a retreat with some of them, and we got to know each other. But in real life, there's one person I know.
Right.
So and I've not done a lot of seminars or that kind of stuff either, which I think would be fun. But a lot of it's because I have kids and they take up 90% of your day anyway. So, but I would have gotten into that earlier and not done what I did, which was run around when somebody said this was hot. Oh, I got to run that. And, I got to go to that, I found myself trying to figure out too many things. Now I don't listen to it. And I've made the books, especially things I want to write.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's proven to be successful. I think.
And it has.
Yeah.
And it's so simple. And yet, if you could tell your younger self, stop, just stop.
Right.
Trust who you are.
Right.
Trust your voice. Trust that thing that makes you want to do this.
Correct. Yeah. I agree.
And treat it like a business.
Yeah. That's hard. That's hard too, because
it's really hard.
For a lot of authors, it's hard because, they get into it because of their craft and their art, and then they go, holy crap, I have to run a business. I got a method.
Sign up for this.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is a business.
Yeah, it is. It is a business. And even if you're doing it somewhat casually, it's still a business.
Right.
You've got to pay taxes on what you owe, and that makes you, that alone makes you have to
you're just,
have
even if you're just a solopreneur, you still have to keep up with all that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And frankly, when you set your mind to saying, I'm going to make my living doing this, I'm going to raise my family, I'm going to buy a house, I want all the things that everybody else has, but I want to do it this way, which is unusual. Look, I mean, what the three of us do is not a normal world outside of the small world we've created for ourselves.
Exactly.
And people don't understand it. They don't know how you do it.
I was about to say that. They don't understand it. Nobody
We're like weird creatures to people that they're once you get outside the community, they're fascinated.
And everybody comes to you with their story, thinking they've got, you and I should collaborate. You're like, dude, I said, I always tell people I've got more stories in my head. I'll die before I tell half of them.
Yeah.
So, it's just, that's hard. And it's hard to think with the left and right side of your brain.
Yeah.
And it is, I learned that. I lost a lot of money. I made a lot of money very early in my screenwriting career because I broke in at the end of what the spec script era, which is where they were buying scripts for $1 million and, people were throwing money at things, and they were. And I broke in then. And literally I would think, God, this is so easy. I don't know why more people don't do this.
Why do people say this is so hard, right?
I mean, red flag number one. Yeah.
I literally pulled something out of back in the day, out of my typewriter and sold it in an afternoon.
Oh my God.
For a ridiculous, I'm not going to say the name of the company because it's a well-known company, and I kept thinking, this is so dumb. And I knew it was wrong. You know how something's wrong?
Yeah.
And, eventually that imploded, but I made a lot of money and I invested it in land deals. There's a really good idea.
Those are some great financial advice right there.
Oh, Lord. And right after that, I got a financial advisor, and I have been with the same group for 30 years now. And because I trusted them, my actual guy retired a couple of years ago and he handed me off to his partner. And I've known those people. Same people have done my taxes.
Yeah.
My lady died, and she, I went with, and then when she retired, I went with the woman that was also where if people are good to me, and that's because I know I'm not good with it.
Yeah. So you have to find people who are.
And you have to find people who are. And trust and make sure you trust them.
Yeah. Well, I have a question so let's switch a little bit to like screenwriting or not screenwriting, but like for novelists who want to sell their books, like you mentioned, they bought the rights to it. What is that process? Like what happens first?
In that process, it does help if you have Hollywood connections. There's no, look, I'm not going to lie to anybody. It definitely helps. It's a lot different today than it was when I broke in, because now we have things like IMDb Pro. You can find names if you need to find names. And I tell people how to do this all the time. If you are a person that writes like small town romance and that kind of thing that certain, like Hallmark does, But they all think they've written a Hallmark movie, and they haven't, because Hallmark's very specific about how they do their movies. And they're very specific. And I'm going to be really honest. A lot of it doesn't transfer well out of the novel, because the novels are, frankly, are a little deeper than,
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
I know that sounds horrible, but they're doing a movie in 90 minutes, so it's not going to have the depth. But if you have something that fits that, I always tell people, go see who makes those and watch 10 of them. Take the time, watch 10 of them. Write down the names of the companies. Get on IMDb Pro and find the companies. Find names. You can, there's two schools of thought. You either start at the top and hope the crap trickles down, or you start a little bit lower and hope that person, you can get to that person. And you pitch yourself and your project. What I do know about, especially about Hallmark, because it's a machine that makes 90 movies a year, there's probably 120 romance, quote unquote, romantic comedies. Most of them aren't romantic comedies. They're romances with a bit of humor.
Yeah.
They're lighter romances. And not all of them, because now Netflix is doing a series of them. They're doing it. It's guys with their shirts off and they can cuss, but the formula works the same. If you've got that, find out who's making them. And all you got to do is watch them and take the company and look it up. You can literally go to Google now. You can go to, this is where AI does come in handy.
Yeah.
And you find out who's doing it, and you send them an email, and with a log line that's got to work, which is 1 or 2 sentences. And I find those really difficult to write. If I've written a book, how do you sum 250 pages, 300 pages into 2 sentences?
Yeah.
But you have to core it down to that, and maybe put a couple paragraphs if they get past that and they want to read. If somebody's hungry enough, and what I do know about these companies, a lot of them are one-man band companies making these small films for Hallmark, or I would say the people making the Netflix movies, because they're a little bit bigger, or the ones on Prime that you'll see, the romantic comedies. I always call them dead girl comedies. They're romantic comedies, but she's dying of cancer and they're in Paris. Those are a little bit bigger companies. But if you could find the development person and pitch, say you pitch yourself in a sentence or two. I'm a New York Times bestselling writer. I watched your movie the other night. I loved it. I think this book would just be perfect for you guys. If you're looking, here's the log line. They may get read. They're not going to read the book without asking. Don't send the book. And frankly, it costs them nothing to go get an e-copy of your book.
Right.
They'll do that if that interests them. I mean, granted, that's what a book agent should be doing for you anyway. But as indie writers, I don't think it hurts. They are looking. They're oftentimes, especially the Hallmark movies and the smaller ones you'll see on, like, there's a couple other people doing those now. GAC, Great American Country, is doing them, and they're all romances. 99% are romances. If you write that stuff, send this stuff in, because oftentimes it's a one-man band. I know the producers. It's, one woman, and maybe she's got an assistant. Maybe she has an assistant. They're all in looking, and don't not believe that they're looking through Amazon on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So make sure your stuff on Amazon, if you've got a book up there, put sort of your first 2 lines should be your log line, so that they read a little further. And I would not put log line on there, but I would just pitch it that way. And so people know what your book is.
So basically, we just need to be able to boil everything down to like a log line, a couple paragraphs, and a little bit about who we are.
Absolutely.
And then that's all that they need.
And
that's all we need to prepare for them, right?
No, absolutely. Because they'll contact you if they're interested. And they are looking. And the reason I know, here's how I know. I'll get a call from a producer. Hey, could you look at this book? And I'm going to send you the Amazon link. So they haven't bought it. They could to send me, and I'll go and I'll look and I'll say, yeah, this works really, really, really. They won't buy it until they will pitch it. And then if they have to buy it, they'll buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of sucks. Yeah. I mean, some of the bigger companies won't do that. The bigger people handle it a little bit more, but these smaller people don't have the money to throw around. They're producers making maybe 100, 150 on a movie project they're getting once a year. and they're living in Los Angeles, and 150,000 does not go very far.
No, it does not. It does not.
So they're looking to do two movies. You know, they wanted badly to do 2 movies a year for GAC or for Hallmark, or get one on Lifetime. And Lifetime does a lot of those thrillers. They do a ton of thrillers. Now those pay less, and don't think you're going to rob the bank if you sell a movie to Hallmark. If you sell your book to Hallmark, it's not life-changing money.
Yeah. So, but what is it called when they say they may make the movie, but there's no guarantee? What's that called?
An option? Is that
an option? Yeah, option.
Okay.
So they option it, but you can keep optioning that book or that story or screenplay or whatever. Yeah.
Options last. And so, you can sell it again and again and again, you know, or they can keep the option. You know, you're always hoping for the buy, but most companies, even when if you read like Deadline or you read Variety or any of those things where it says, you know, the book was bought, most of the time it really truly is an option. It's not a buy.
Okay.
It may say they're buying it for $1 million. Mine, they said they were buying it for $1 million. That wasn't true on its face.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good chunk of change, but it wasn't $1 million.
Yeah.
You know, that just, people put those in. There's no reporters going out and digging this stuff up.
Yeah.
You know, no fact checking going on.
So
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so that, you know, you can option that book over and over and over. And the problem can become, like, say they've optioned your book, Jamie, and they've hired a screenwriter. It's not you. And they write a script and they don't like it. So they let the option lapse. The problem becomes now that if somebody else picks it up, there's a screenplay already out there. And they're either going to start again or they're going to try to option that screenplay on top of it. So it gets a little more weirdly complicated if it doesn't go. But look, I always tell writers, I said, if you're blessed to get a movie made, like on the Hallmark Channel, or which is watched by millions of people,
right? Sure.
You advertise the hell out of that. When that movie, if it's a Christmas movie, when they first put it on in late September, here's a slate of Christmas movies. Advertise the hell out of that. When it's getting close and they're running commercials, advertise the hell out of it. You know, because there's going to be 1 million people watching this movie. If you could sell 1/10 of those people your book, that could be life-changing money.
Yeah.
That could be life-changing money.
That sounds like good marketing. Like you do know something about marketing, even though you say you don't.
In this case, I do get how that's built-in marketing. Yeah, that's built-in marketing where you don't have to figure out how to sell it. You know, that, you know, something else is selling your book.
Right.
And your name is going to be on the screen. And then you get that snapshot and you shove it onto you Facebook it, you Instagram it over and over, boost those posts so people see it, because it's just reading based on a book buy.
You're kind of riding the coattails.
I saw that movie and I really liked it. And, you know, especially I would imagine that a good portion of Hallmark watchers are readers.
Oh, yeah. I would think so, too. I think the Venn diagram on that would be
pretty close. Pretty tight.
Yeah.
If you can sell 100,000 books and you're getting $5 a book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not? Why not try for that? Yeah.
That's it. That's where that low option money doesn't matter to you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I have a quick question. So one thing people always worry about is we know it's a long shot to ever have any of this stuff happen. But say that it does happen. Legal advice, what would you recommend? Okay.
A lawyer.
Oh, you would
an entertainment lawyer?
Absolutely.
At what point, I guess, too?
If you guys are let's say you put out your Christmas book and somebody bites and they say, hey, Hallmark wants this. A lawyer does your deal.
Okay.
You don't do your deal.
Yeah.
A lawyer has to do it. And yes, an entertainment lawyer or someone that is versed, or a literary, because most literary places know how to do this as well. There's just too many pieces of this that you can't cover. I'm on a 5% retainer at my law firm. They take 5% everything I make.
Yeah.
They're worth 25%.
I was going to say it's worth every penny, I would imagine.
Absolutely right, because I know I'd screw up.
Yeah.
And these things are not something that your average even contract attorney can understand, because there's too many. What if they make a sequel to your thing? Is it covered?
Yeah.
What
And
if they
that's a
take one of
big
your?
deal.
Oh my gosh! The first set of movies I got made were made at CBS back in the day when CBS was doing movies. The first one spawned a sequel. The sequel did better. We did a third. Now I was involved, but they could have easily just had somebody else go and do that if it wasn't in my contract that I get first crack at that. That they got to pay me. There's money that gets paid even if I don't write it. There's stuff that us as writers have to know, and I think we think we're just blessed if somebody likes us enough to make our movie. No, this is, again, we go back to, this is a business.
Business. Yep.
And you want to, I always say, make enough money to live to fight another day.
Yes.
Because that's where it becomes really important, is you have to, we've got to be making enough money so that we can continue to do what we do. And trust me, there's enough money to go around in most of these things.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Honeymoon with Harry, you published that 10 years ago?
I published it about 10 years ago. I'd say 10, 12 years ago.
So when was it optioned?
It was optioned 22 years ago.
Okay. So that's what
the timelines we're looking at.
Because you said 10 years, and I was like, I didn't think that's what he had said. But so it was optioned 22 years ago, and
I held on to it for 10 years. Yeah. In that time, the first script was written. I was shown the door very quickly. Yeah. I was supposed to write the screenplay, and then back in the day, Paul Haggis, who was coming off the Oscar for Crash, got a hold of a copy, called the studio and said, I'm in. And they politely showed me the door. And he got Vince Vaughn and Jack Nicholson. And I thought, we're in. And it fell apart because of money.
Yeah.
Because both those guys wanted, Jack and Vince, and that would have been a really good, cool people to make that with, wanted a lot of money. And it laid around, and then about 5-6 years, maybe a little bit more after that, Bradley Cooper got involved. And he was going to do it with Robert De Niro. Another director came aboard and rewrote the script with his partner. It was universally hated by everyone. It's the only draft I've never read. They just said to me, you'll be so mad. And I'm like, fine, I don't need to be any madder than I am. And that all fell apart. Then Cooper said, then they brought on Dan Fogelman, who you guys may know from, he created This Is Us.
Yeah.
He's got the Paradise on Hulu, but he also wrote Crazy Stupid Love and Whiskey Tango Foxtrot and some other. I mean, he's a wonderful guy. I will say this guy's a lovely human being. Wrote a draft that is literally my book. And I was so thrilled. And I got to meet him and sit down with him. And he was telling me, he goes, we bought 10 copies of the book. We ripped out every page. We highlighted, all the funny stuff. And it was a funny, like you, Jamie, are talking about, it was, it's a funny, sad book. And so it made me really happy to see how reverential he was and how kind he was to me. I mean, he's just a nice human being. And so he wanted to direct, then he fell out. Then Cooper announced he was going to direct this, made the cover of Variety, the head banner, and Cooper's going on the honeymoon. 2 weeks later, he took A Star Is Born. And the thing is, sat around, and then out back in January, I was hearing people were calling me going, hey, I'm hearing Amazon MGM's buying this out from under New Line. I'm like, I haven't heard anything. Nobody's calling me. Yeah. And I heard it like 3 times. And so Dan Fogelman, I'm friendly enough with him that I sent him an email. I said, Dan, I'm hearing this and your name's in the middle of it. So, and then he wrote me back, said, I was hoping we'd have all the deals closed. He goes, I don't like talking about things before they happen, but yeah, it looks like it's going to happen. And then about 2 weeks later, one of the producers called me and said, look, this is breaking in the trades on Monday. I want to give you a heads up. And he goes, we're not shooting even until 2026 and the first part of 2026. But I've tried to get them to not run the story, but they refuse. They're running the story. And so be prepared. And, I luckily I kind of known the pieces. It was Gyllenhaal and Costner. And it'll be MGM, Amazon. I imagine it'll probably run in the theaters for a bit and then run right over to the network.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love it when good things happen to good people.
It's just it is so crazy, and it's been so long, and everybody goes, "Oh, how do you feel about, them changing your books and stuff?" And you go, I've been very good because having written screenplays that don't always end up exactly like you thought they would.
Yeah.
You judge the product on the product and recognize that this book is mine.
Right.
The movie is theirs.
Right.
And they share a title. And I'm hoping, again, I hate to, I put on my business hat. I want to be able to use that to sell more books and have people fall in love with my writing.
Yeah.
Because the book will never change, right? The
book will
movie
never
is an
change.
adaptation,
Right.
and the book is the book, and it's just a different version of kind of the story.
Right. It's a hybrid animal. I mean, movies are weird anyway, because even as a screenwriter, you can't be guaranteed that that's going to be exactly what you had in your head.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Directors come in, actors come in, and you have to surrender that to other artists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I had written down here. You lose say. Like when you sell it, it's not yours anymore. I mean, like it's your book, and that part is yours, but the rest of it is somebody else's. And
it is absolutely, and you have to recognize. I hear book people get mad about this stuff, but you want to say you took the money, had no problem with the money, or I won't sell that unless I have a big say in that. And you go, when you have a hit, like if this hits, I probably would have a bigger say in whatever comes next.
Sure.
No doubt about it. But you got to earn that. They're not giving it to you right away, or I'm not going to sell that because it's mine. And you go, your book is yours. Yeah. It absolutely is yours. Right. And trust that that's going to be enough, but be smart enough to take whatever they do, which has a bigger global audience than you have, and try to bring those people to you.
Right. Yeah.
And that is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but I think there's never been a better time for authors to have this potential to get into this because of the streaming services, because people are just clamoring for content.
There's a lot more places for things to go.
There are a lot more places to go. And I was reading, I actually saved the article. There was an article in Deadline last week talking about a company that is that's their synergy, is the book to movie. And they've been very successful. And interestingly enough, just the producer of Harry, he's got a deal. He's got a deal at Warner Brothers. I don't know how his deal is, but he's been doing a lot of movies for Amazon, MGM. And he said, they're offering me an imprint.
Oh,
wow.
And he said, would you be interested in making these books? He goes, I haven't even thought about it, but would you take the Harry books? And, it's on the table. The only problem I have is I'd love to get them into bookstores, and I don't know if Amazon.
I think so. I could think their Montlake books are in bookstores, aren't they, Sarah?
I think so. Yeah. I think it kind of depends on the author, and because even if you're traditionally published, there's no guarantee that your books will be in bookstores. Maybe they're there for a release month and then they're gone.
Right.
So it kind of depends on what you want and how it works. But yeah, it's an exciting thing.
So, I told him, I said, I'm absolutely open to that, because I also think if they're behind it, maybe they'll let me shove Kevin Jake's picture on that book.
Right. I mean, that's what happens that's what happened with Bridgerton. That's what happened with the Colleen Hoover books. Some of those, I think. Maybe.
I think so,
but there are others that's happened. Yeah.
And I'm sure even Colleen Hoover, I'm sure she didn't bargain for what she got on the first movie, in terms of the drama behind the scenes on that. But I will also say this, I bet it sold a whole bunch of books.
It sold a lot of books, and now she has her own production company. It launched her into something else. So I just feel like it opens up. I mean, it opens up other problems too, but I think it opens up possibilities. And in this day and age, with everything going on in the public, especially in self-publishing right now, it feels like having another avenue gives us some breathing room and maybe a little hope.
And recognize that there are a lot of producers now looking for things because of, like I said, a lot of the what I call the YA movies on Prime and on Netflix and all that are coming straight out of books.
Yeah.
Straight out of books.
The Summer I Turned Pretty. What's that one?
Absolutely.
That had the
Oh my
big
gosh.
twist at the end? I can't remember I can't remember, but yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Good Girl's Guide to Murder?
No, but that one has two.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Yeah.
And so we do have, and they are people are looking for this stuff. They're looking for the good story because look, The Summer I Turned Pretty was a popular book, but not as popular as the TV series.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And I could imagine 1 million people bought that book because of the series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
My daughter read
and the writer owns all of that. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been so great. Is there anything else you think we need to know before we let you go?
No, I appreciate this very much. This is fun. This was really fun talking about. I don't think about this stuff on a daily basis, so it was fun to kind of go back and realize, God, this has been a long time, and Harry itself just. Oh, look, it's getting. Oh, it's not getting.
Too. Yeah, that's important. I think that's important. And in fact, that's really one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because you wrote the book 20 years ago, or 22 years ago, and it's just now being made into a movie. You published it after it was optioned. And
right.
So it's
and
just because something's not working right now, it doesn't mean it won't work. It doesn't have a life later.
A friend told me a long time ago, I had a script that I wrote, and I tried to, he loved it. He was at a company called TriStar, if you remember them. They were around back in the late 80s, early 90s. And he was an executive over there, and he read a script of mine, and he said, I love this. I'm taking it to my boss. I'm going to try to get him to buy it. And he called me and said, look, this isn't going. The boss, he didn't like it, it's not that he didn't like it. He just didn't see where it fit in their thing. And he goes, but I'm going to tell you something. This script is money in the bank. You can't spend it now, but it's money in the bank.
Yeah.
And 2 years later, that was the 3 movies that I made for CBS.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, you just never know.
Things find their time. I mean, you just got to trust. Sometimes that's really hard. And I think that's the joy of getting older. If there's any joy whatsoever, is that you have a different perspective on a lot of things. And you recognize that some things everything takes its own time. We all take our time to figure out who we are. And everything we create takes on a life of its own after we let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is a good place to ask the question that we ask everyone. What's the best thing you've done to set yourself up for success?
Got a broker. Got a good money guy.
Yeah.
And I hate to bring it back to that.
No, I think that's
a good point.
Yeah.
Finding my voice as a writer, because I've been more successful since I stopped worrying about everything else and just focused on what I do. And then having a money manager, because I'm not good with it. Somebody you trust. Like I said, my first guy, Johnny, was wonderful. And strangely enough, his parents went to my gym. And he would call me and go, I'm moving the money into this, and I'm doing this with this. And I'm going, John, I see your folks every morning.
Yeah.
Never forget that.
Yeah.
and because it is hard, and we aren't, unless you're raised with money, you don't know how to handle money. I'm sorry, you just don't. I have a working class background, and I'm not good with it. So I've recognized that there are better people with it, and allow them to do their job as as we want people to leave us alone and let us write.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, that's a great place to end. Tell everyone when they can find out more about you, your books, all your stuff.
You can find me pretty much anywhere, but my website, bartvbaker.com. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram as the first Bart Baker, because there is another Bart Baker who does music parodies, who's very successful and doesn't speak kindly of me on his podcasts, because I had a lot of the Bart Baker monikers.
Real estate.
Before he did. So, but yeah, you can find me on Instagram. I am on TikTok. I haven't figured that out yet either, but I am easy to find. And I'm on Clubhouse most mornings.
Yeah.
Okay.
In our rooms.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
We will have all those links in the show notes. Just thank you for being here. We appreciate it. It's been fun to talk to you.
You too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Those will be at wishidknownforwriters.com, and you can go to that same link /support to support the podcast. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye.